He's doing this, right? So I want to know, why do you think the child is behaving in this way?
Because he wants the adult to pay attention.
Okay, because he wants the adult to pay attention to him. All right. Why is he behaving in this way?
It's attention seeking. It probably worked at one point in time.
Okay, no,
He
that's
wants
the.
somebody to show him that they care about him.
Okay, he wants someone to show him that they care about him. Okay, but I want to pull out something because I've heard it 3 times, and I've heard you say that at one time it worked, and I've heard you say at one time it worked, and then I heard someone else say something about it worked in the past. And I would like to submit to you that the only reason he is using this set of behaviors is in fact because of that reason. That at some point it worked. But I find it interesting that you said at some point it worked. So why did you come to that conclusion? That at some point it worked. Yes, ma'am.
His behavior now is repetition. He keeps doing the same thing to get that result that he had had before.
Okay. So he keeps doing the same behavior, and why does he keep doing the same behavior?
It's not, the person is not responding the way he wants to make sure they hear him, they see him, and they will respond because he's looking for that result.
Because it's not working.
Right.
Right? So it worked in the past. Now, this is the one thing about human beings that we have to understand. And we have to understand those people that we don't think are understandable. Like racist people, bigoted people, conservatives or liberals or whatever. These are some concepts that we need to understand if we want to be effective in this work. In this work, we have no enemies. We have no enemies. There is no physical person that is on the opposite side of the table I am on. They're on a different side of the table that I'm on. And we'll talk about the difference between that language too in just a little bit. So the baby is acting like this because it's worked in the past. The problem is that he's taken past behaviors and tried to apply them when? Now. And now is a different situation than it was when he first found success. And unfortunately, the baby will continue this behavior because it worked in the past. He thinks it'll work now. And so as he looks forward, what does his behavior, what does his mindset say about his behavior in the future? Now, if the parents give in to him in this particular situation, he's going to continue to act like this. He'll be 24, falling down on the ground. Right?
It'll be to his own detriment.
It'll be to his own detriment, but I think it'll be worse to ours. Because when people act like that, they fall on the ground, they usually get arrested, which means my tax dollars start getting tapped. Right? So the child acts like this because it worked in the past. What are some clues that it's no longer working?
Parents will keep walking.
The parents keep walking.
You don't acknowledge the dog.
The dog even knows that this behavior is not working. Right? So you and I know that his behavior is not working. The parents know his behavior is not working. The dog knows his behavior is not working. But who fails to realize that his behavior is not working? Him. Now, when will his behavior change? Because I can go up to little Jimmy and say, Jimmy, your behavior is not working. And what will Jimmy say to me?
Yeah, it is.
Right? So when will Jimmy's behavior change?
When it registers to him that it doesn't work.
When he realizes that this behavior doesn't work and I need to modify my behavior. Now, one of the things that we fail to realize in doing this work is that racist people, they may or may not realize that their behavior is working, but it won't change until they have that epiphany, that aha moment. I don't know if you've had friends, I've had friends and friends of friends who've had racist grandparents, and then they end up with a biracial baby, and then the whole world changes for them. And they go, oh, he's so cute. I like this one, not those. Right? But you know what? I'll take that. Because the likelihood of liking this one and not all of them the likelihood of liking this one and this one and this one is greater than when they don't like any of them at all. So, just something to think about. So what is the baby striving for? Typically, when we talk about micro inequities, everybody is looking for these three things. They're looking for significance, belonging, and some kind of sense of safety. Everybody. The homophobic person is looking for significance, belonging, and safety. The rabid racist person is looking for significance, belonging, and safety. The problem is the way we go about getting these things oftentimes is skewed and obtuse in some kind of way. All right? And so everyone is moving towards their goal. And so to be proactive means to move towards your goal. To be reactive means to respond to things that are removing you away from your goal. All right? So here are 4 things to think about, or 4 truths if you're going to be true to this work. The first is that humans can learn, change, and grow. We cannot afford to cut someone off, to say that they're without help. We don't have that. We can't afford that. All right? The next is that people do what they think works, even when, what? It doesn't work. So they do what they think works, even when it doesn't work. Why? Because it's worked in the past. And we're smart. As human beings, we only do what works. You get pain, what does pain tell you? Stop doing that. I went to the dentist. I said, sir, I have a pain when I touch like this. It hurts. And he said, stop touching it. Right? So human beings can learn, change, and grow. People do what they think works. All human behavior is goal-directed. People are constantly trying to get something through their behavior. All right? And that leads us to this last part. Attitude is a reaction to a goal. What have you been taught about what an attitude is? What is an attitude? Have you ever had an attitude? What's an attitude?
A reaction, a demeanor.
A reaction, a demeanor, attitude.
A way of expressing yourself.
A way of expressing yourself is an attitude. What else?
The approach I take to something.
Okay, so it could be the approach that you take to something. All right. Now, I was a teenager. I know it's hard to believe at one point, and I was said to have a lot of attitude, but I was never quite clear what they were talking about. Right? Because my parents would. I'd get in trouble, and I'd be in front of them, and they'd say, boy, change your attitude. You better fix your face. And I'm like, never quite sure what that meant. And then, my dad would send me to my room, and he'd say, boy, you better go to your room till you learn how to act. And so I'd be in my room for a while, and then I'd step out into the hallway, and I'd say, to be or not to be?
That's your room.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in my room, right? But that's not what they were talking about, and I couldn't figure it out until one day it hit me. So my dad was my pastor, and we went to church on Sunday. Church started at 7:30 a.m. to open up for Sunday school, and we closed the church at 11:30 p.m. We would stop at 3 o'clock for chicken, not because we're black, but because chicken is delicious. So all day Sunday was church. So Friday night, I asked my dad for the car. And I said, Dad, can I borrow the car? What does my dad say because he loves me? What does he say? He says, yes, he loves me, right? So I get the car. I'm hanging out with my friends. I put gas in the car. I come in before curfew. And my dad says, I have what kind of an attitude? A good or a positive attitude. And what do I say about my dad's attitude? That he also has a good or positive attitude. So I have a good attitude, he's got a good attitude, right? So Sunday rolls along, and my best friend Dexter calls me at noon and says, Andre, can you pick me up for the movies? What do I know about Sunday? Church. All day. But you know what? Jesus is my friend. I'm like, I can gamble on the Lord. I'm like, come on, Jesus, hook a brother up. So I go and I ask my dad to borrow the car, and what does my dad say?
No.
He says no. And I say my dad has what kind of an attitude?
Bad.
A bad attitude. Consequently, what does my dad say about my attitude?
Bad.
That I have a bad attitude. So wait a minute. Friday, I had a good attitude. Sunday, I have a bad attitude. What is it that determines one's attitude? Expectations. Starts with G and ends in O. Your goal. Have you ever been around a teenager and